My son was declared dead at 2:13 in the morning on a stretch of Interstate 40 outside Asheville, North Carolina. 3 days later, at exactly 7:42 p.m., I found a letter sitting on my kitchen table in Knoxville, Tennessee, that was supposed to help me accept his death. It did the opposite. People think grief makes you notice less. Sometimes it makes you notice everything. The signature looked like my son, Mason Jenkins. The words sounded like him. But the fingerprints on the edge of that paper belonged to somebody else. And that was the moment I realized someone needed me to believe my son was dead. Before we go further, tell me where you're watching from and what your local time is right now. I always like seeing how far these stories travel. And if you enjoy real family stories with twists, secrets, and hard-earned truths, subscribe and stay with me here. Because this story started with a funeral and nearly ended with a lie. My name is Odin Jenkins. I'm 67 years old, widowed for 8 years, retired for 6, and according to my friend Grace Holloway, dangerously stubborn for at least 40. I live in Knoxville, Tennessee, in a small one-story house off Chapman Highway that still has wind chimes my wife Evelyn picked out 15 years ago. They're shaped like little copper birds. One broke during a storm in 2021. I never fixed it. Some things feel wrong to repair. You learn that when you get older. My mornings were predictable. Predictable in the way older people quietly grow attached to routines without admitting it out loud. I'd wake up around 5:45. Coffee first, black, no sugar, no cream, a habit Evelyn hated. "You're drinking sadness in a mug," she'd tell me. I'd answer the same thing every time. "Cheaper than therapy." She'd roll her eyes. I still hear that sometimes. Funny thing about grief, it changes shape. At first it's loud, then it becomes furniture. You stop noticing it until you bump into it again. Most mornings I'd drive my old silver 2005 Ford Ranger down toward Holloway Kitchen and Grill around 7:15. Small family place, red vinyl booths, slight crack near stool number 6 at the counter. Grace Holloway owned it, 65 years old, loud enough to wake people 2 zip codes away. Best biscuits in Knox County. Worst patience. Grace had been Evelyn's best friend since college, which meant after Evelyn passed from pancreatic cancer, Grace decided she had inherited partial ownership of my life. I walked into Holloway Kitchen that Tuesday morning wearing my old brown jacket. Grace didn't even look up. "Coffee's already on your table," she said. "Good morning to you, too." "You're late." "I'm 4 minutes early." "You were emotionally late." "I have no idea what that means." "That's because you're a man." Normal, ordinary, the kind of life people complain about until one day they'd give anything to have it back. Mason used to call every Thursday. Almost every Thursday. My son wasn't big on emotional speeches. Didn't get that from Evelyn. He'd call and say things like, "You rotate your tires. You take your blood pressure medicine. You still refusing to buy a new truck?" His way of saying he cared. Mason Jenkins, 39. Civil engineer. Lived near Asheville, North Carolina. Smart, quiet. Too much like me. That worried Evelyn sometimes. "Two men who don't talk about feelings," she'd say. "Wonderful. I'm raising emotional drywall." After Evelyn died, Mason changed. Not overnight. Life doesn't usually break people that cleanly. Little things. Calls got shorter, visits got farther apart, work got busier. Grief settled differently inside him. Still, he showed up. Birthdays, Christmas, my knee surgery in 2022. He drove 4 hours just to argue with a nurse because they forgot my medication schedule. You know that kind of person. Quiet until somebody they love gets hurt. Then suddenly they become terrifying. That was Mason. Last time I saw him alive. At least what I believed was alive was 11 days before the accident. He came to Knoxville, drove his dark blue 2015 Toyota Camry. We had lunch at Calhoun's near the river. He wore a gray quarter-zip sweater. Looked tired. Not physically. Different, tired, older. You know that look. Like somebody carrying weight they haven't explained yet. You all right? I asked. Yeah. That's not a real answer. It's the answer you're getting. Must have inherited that from your mother. He smiled. Small smile. Real one. We talked football, gas prices, politics for exactly 23 seconds before mutually deciding life was hard enough. Then he left, at about 2:41 p.m. I remember because older men become historians of meaningless details. We collect small moments because eventually we realize they're never small. 3 nights later, Tuesday, October. Cold enough to need a jacket. Not cold enough to deserve one. I fell asleep in my recliner around 10:30 watching some documentary about shipwrecks. Woke up because my phone rang. 2:13 a.m. Nobody calls at 2:13 a.m. to improve your life. I knew that before answering. Unknown number. North Carolina area code. Mr. Jenkins? Male voice. Professional. Controlled. State trooper. North Carolina Highway Patrol. There had been an accident. Interstate 40. Near Asheville. Vehicle fire. Severe damage. Driver identification through preliminary evidence. My son. My Mason. I don't remember dropping the phone. I remember the silence after. Silence has texture. Nobody tells you that. It presses. It suffocates. It changes the temperature in a room. I sat there. Recliner. Dark living room. Copper birds hanging outside. One broken, one whole, one moving in the wind. I don't know how long. 5 minutes, 20, an hour? Time stops behaving normally after bad news. Grace came over at 3:08 a.m. I never called her. To this day, I don't know who did. Maybe instinct. Maybe older women develop supernatural abilities around tragedy. She walked inside carrying shoes she hadn't fully put on. Hair messy, sweatshirt inside out. She looked at me, didn't ask questions, didn't say, "I'm sorry." People think that's what grieving people need. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they need somebody willing to sit quietly inside disaster. Grace sat beside me. "Coffee?" she asked. I nodded. At 4:30, she forced me to eat toast. At 5:15, she called North Carolina herself. At 6:10, she said, "We're driving." Asheville sits roughly 2 hours and change from Knoxville, depending on traffic. 3, if you're grieving. 4, if you're old. 5, if construction crews hate humanity. We left before sunrise. My Silver Ranger made a noise around mile marker 73. Grace called it the death rattle. I told her that wasn't an encouraging phrase under current circumstances. She ignored me. Rain followed us halfway there. Gray sky, gray highway. Gray feeling sitting inside my chest. Mission hospital, police, paperwork, questions, words. Too many words. Vehicle fire. Investigation ongoing. Severe damage. Positive identification pending. Personal belongings recovered. Wallet, watch, phone. Mason's wedding ring. Vanessa arrived 40 minutes later. My daughter-in-law. 36. Blonde hair pulled back. Black sweater. No makeup. Eyes swollen. Looked devastated. Completely devastated. She hugged me immediately. Hard, tight, almost too tight. "I kept calling him," she whispered. "He didn't answer." I nodded. Couldn't speak. Wouldn't trust my voice. She cried. Real tears. Important detail, real tears. Stay with me here. Because villains don't usually walk around wearing villain signs, real people are more complicated. Pain can be real. Grief can be real. Fear can be real. Even when lies exist beside them. Vanessa handled things quickly. Very quickly. Phone calls. Hospital forms. Questions. Insurance information. Funeral discussions. Details. Logistics. Control. A lot of control. Too much. I noticed it. Not because I suspected her. Not then. Old habits. My old job taught observation. Small details. Behavior patterns. Changes. Things people don't realize they're showing. Around noon hospital hallway. Bad coffee. Plastic chair. Vanessa said something. Simple. Small. Forgettable. Should have been forgettable. He hated long drives, she said quietly. I looked up. Mason loved driving, always had. Road trips, mountain roads, Sunday drives. He once drove 3 hours just to eat barbecue somebody online recommended. Little thing, tiny thing, nothing, maybe. But something inside me moved. Barely. Like a lock turning. Just once. And I wish now, God help me, I wish I'd listened harder, because grief wasn't the hardest thing waiting for me. Not even close. Funerals have rules people don't talk about. People bring casseroles nobody eats. Somebody always says, he's in a better place. Someone else says, let me know if you need anything, knowing full well neither of you understands what anything means. And somewhere in the middle of it all, grief quietly turns into administration. Paperwork, phone calls, death certificates, flowers, signatures. I learned that faster than I wanted to. Mason's funeral happened 6 days later. Knoxville, a Friday afternoon. Gray clouds hanging low enough to make the whole city feel smaller. The service was held at a funeral home off Kingston Pike. Not fancy. Mason wouldn't have wanted fancy. My son believed expensive things were usually disappointing. He once bought a $90 steak in Atlanta during a work trip. Called me afterward. Saddest meat I've ever eaten. That was Mason. Dry humor. Quiet delivery. Like he expected life to disappoint him slightly and regularly. Grace arrived early. Of course she did. She believed punctuality was a moral virtue. She wore a dark green sweater and carried enough baked food to survive a minor natural disaster. You eat today? She asked. Not hungry. That's not what I asked. I had coffee. Odin? Grace. You think stubbornness burns calories? No. Then eat. She handed me a paper plate. Pecan bars, Mason's favorite. My throat tightened. Funny thing. You survive hospital calls, paperwork, police reports. But one familiar dessert can absolutely destroy you. Grace saw it happen. Didn't say anything. Just sat beside me. People remember kindness. Not speeches. Not perfect words. Kindness. The funeral home smelled like coffee and polished wood. Soft music played through ceiling speakers. Too soft. Too clean. Too controlled. Like grief had been professionally organized. People came. Neighbors. Former co-workers. Friends from church. A couple Mason knew from Asheville. One man from his engineering firm. Everybody said versions of the same thing. He was a good man. He worked hard. He always talked about family. You know that strange feeling when people describe someone you love in summary form, like an entire life got reduced to bullet points? Mason wasn't bullet points. Mason was driving 4 hours because my refrigerator stopped working. Mason was arguing with customer service employees on behalf of strangers. Mason was eating gas station beef jerky that probably violated federal regulations. Mason was real. And now, supposedly gone. The casket stayed closed. That mattered. You need to understand something. That mattered. Official explanation. Fire damage. Severe conditions. Recommendation from authorities. Closed casket. People accepted it. Most people do. Pain makes people trust systems they normally question. I sat front row. Grace beside me. Vanessa 2 seats away. Black dress, hair pulled back, hands folded. Perfect grieving widow posture. No, that's unfair. I didn't think that then. Back then I thought she was devastated. Because she looked devastated. She cried. Real tears. Again, important. Real tears. The minister spoke. Kind man. Probably late 60s. Didn't know Mason deeply. Said kind things anyway. Life. Faith. Loss. Hope. The usual things. Then Vanessa stood. She wanted to say something. Her voice shook. She talked about Mason. How hard he worked. How much he loved planning road trips. How he checked weather forecasts obsessively. Small details. Good details. True details. I remember feeling grateful. Truly grateful. Until one sentence. One sentence. He always said he never wanted people holding on too long. Small thing. Tiny, but strange, because Mason never said that. Not once. You know that feeling when something doesn't fit, but you don't yet know why. Like seeing one puzzle piece from the wrong box. I felt it, briefly. Then grief covered it. Again, after the service, people gathered outside. Cool wind, October air, clouds threatening rain. Grace stood beside me holding coffee. "You're shaking," she said. "I'm fine. You look terrible." "That's encouraging." "I'm serious. I'm breathing. Bare minimum requirement." I almost smiled. Almost. Then Vanessa walked over. "Odin," she said softly, "can we talk?" We moved toward a bench near the parking area. Silver SUV parked nearby. Blue pickup backing out slowly. Little ordinary details. Funny what memory saves. Vanessa looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, mascara slightly smudged. "I've been handling insurance calls," she said. I nodded. "Okay. And bank accounts." "Okay. And paperwork." "Okay." She hesitated. Then, Mason had preferences. My stomach tightened. "What preferences?" "He didn't want long grieving periods." Silence. He told me he wanted cremation. There it was. Fast. Too fast. "You already arranged that?" I asked. "We should move forward." Should? Not could, should. Authorities recommended it too. I stared at her. Cold wind, cars passing, leaves moving across pavement. Mason hated fire. I need you to understand that. When Mason was 9, kitchen accident. Small grease fire. Nothing catastrophic. But afterward fear. Deep fear. Even campfires made him uncomfortable for years. Evelyn used to tease him gently. My brave boy versus one candle. He'd laugh, but it stayed with him, always. He once told me age 28, after a company retreat bonfire. "Dad, if I die someday, don't burn me." Simple, clear, specific, don't burn me. And now Vanessa wanted cremation immediately, too immediately. "You sure?" I asked quietly. "Of course." "He told you that?" "Yes." Fast answer, too fast. "Maybe, maybe not." I let it go. For then. Because grief makes cowards out of logic. You tell yourself things. She's hurting. You're confused, you're tired, you're grieving. Stop thinking. Feel. That's what I did. Big mistake. 3 days later, Monday. Rain, cold, gray Knoxville sky. I sat inside Holloway kitchen around 8:30. Grace refilled my coffee. "You sleep?" she asked. "No." "You eating?" "Sometimes." "That's not enough." "You're aggressive." "I'm efficient." I stared out the window. Traffic, rain, people living ordinary lives. Cruel thing about tragedy. The world keeps moving. Grace sat opposite me. Unusual. Normally too busy. She studied my face. "What?" I asked. "Something bothering you?" "No." "Liar?" "I'm retired, too tired to lie." "That's not true either." I rubbed my eyes. "It's nothing." "Talk." "Vanessa." "What about her?" "Nothing." "Odin." I sighed. "She wants cremation." Grace frowned. "Quick." "Very." "Didn't Mason hate fire?" I looked at her. Slowly. Very slowly. Something cold moved through me, because grief had hidden it. But hearing somebody else say it out loud made it real. Made it heavier. Made it impossible to ignore. "You remember that?" I asked. "Of course I remember." Silence. Rain hitting glass, coffee cooling, Grace watching me. Then quietly she said, "Odin." "Yeah. Something doesn't feel right." I wish I could tell you I immediately figured everything out. I didn't. Real life isn't television. Truth doesn't arrive dramatically. It leaks. Small, slow, quiet, like water under a locked door. And 3 days after we buried my son, the first crack finally appeared. Because when I got home, there was a letter waiting, and nothing would ever feel normal again. The letter was sitting on my kitchen table when I walked inside. No dramatic music. No lightning outside. No feeling that life was about to change. Just rain tapping softly against the windows and a white envelope sitting beside yesterday's unopened electric bill. Funny thing about life, big moments rarely announce themselves. My grandfather used to say, when trouble comes wearing boots, you'll hear it. When trouble comes wearing slippers, it'll already be inside your house. I understood that saying a whole lot better at 67. The envelope looked ordinary. Standard white business envelope. Slight crease near the lower corner. One stamp, Knoxville Processing Center marking. No return address. My name written across the front. Odin Jenkins block lettering. Printed. Not handwritten. I stood there longer than I should have. Rain jacket still on. Keys still in my hand. Something felt strange. Not dangerous. Not yet. Just wrong. You know that feeling. Like walking into your house and realizing somebody moved your coffee mug half an inch. You can't explain why it bothers you, only that it does. I opened it carefully. Habit, old habit. Inside one folded page. White printer paper. Nothing expensive. Nothing dramatic. At first, I couldn't breathe. Because at the bottom I saw Mason's name. Mason Jenkins. Signature. His signature. Or close enough to freeze my blood. My hands started shaking. Not violently, just enough. The kind of shaking older men pretend isn't happening. I sat down. Kitchen chair. Same chair Evelyn used to sit in every morning. I unfolded the paper completely. Started reading. Odin. I know this letter will hurt. If you're reading this, something happened to me. I need you to respect Vanessa's decisions. Don't fight over property. Don't question insurance matters. Don't make things harder than they already are. Trust Vanessa. And please don't dig into things that don't matter anymore. Mason. I read it once, twice, 3 times, then a 4th. Because grief does strange things. You don't read words. You search them. You chase ghosts inside sentences. I leaned back slowly, heart pounding. Something felt off. Not emotionally, mechanically. You need to understand something. For 32 years. Before retirement, I worked forensic document examinations alongside law enforcement support units, fingerprint analysis, document verification, forgery detection, insurance fraud assistance, financial evidence reviews. Not glamorous. Nobody makes television shows about older men examining toner patterns, but I was good at it, very good. The problem was I hadn't been that man in years. I was retired, widowed, older, softer. People stop seeing old skills. Eventually you do too. I picked up the letter again. Slowly. Read it differently. Not like a father, like an examiner. Sentence structure. Word choices, pressure patterns. Spacing, details, tiny details. Respect Vanessa's decisions. Mason didn't talk like that. Not impossible. Just unusual. Don't question insurance matters. Insurance matters. Who says insurance matters? People in insurance. Lawyers, not Mason. Then, the phrase. Don't dig into things. I stared. Long, very long. Mason hated vague language, always had. If he wanted something, he said exactly what he meant, always. No exceptions. My chest tightened. I stood, walked toward the garage. Rain still falling. Cold air. Concrete floor. Metal shelves. Old life sitting in dusty boxes. Retirement leaves strange museums behind. Fishing gear, old manuals, tools, memories. Then shelf 3. Gray storage container. Label faded. I pulled it down carefully, opened it, and there it was. My old examination kit. Magnifier, powder supplies, portable light source, print lifting materials, gloves. Not official equipment anymore, just remnants, artifacts. Grace would have called it, your old crime wizard box. I actually smiled. Briefly. First smile in days. Then guilt hit immediately afterward. Grief does that too. Punishes joy. I carried everything inside. Kitchen table, 7:42 p.m. Clock above the microwave. I remember because later I'd remember every second. I put on gloves, turned on extra lighting, breathed slowly. You're retired, I told myself. You're grieving. You're imagining things. Maybe. I started simple. Paper texture, standard office stock. New, very new, not impossible. Ink consistency, printer output, nothing obvious. Then signature pressure. Interesting. Very interesting. Mason pressed harder on downward strokes, always. Even birthday cards, even receipts, tiny personality detail. Pressure habits are difficult to fake. This signature looked right. Too right. Like somebody copied appearance, not movement. You know the difference when you've spent decades studying it. I leaned closer. Magnifier. Light angle adjustment. Something bothered me. Not enough. Yet. Then the envelope. I picked it up, rotated slowly. Front, back, seal edge. My pulse changed, tiny, sharp. There, partial print residue, not visible normally, barely visible under angle light. Could have been mine, could have been postal handling, could have been nothing. I sat perfectly still. Rain outside, refrigerator humming, house quiet, too quiet. I reached carefully for powder. Old movements returning, like muscle memory waking from sleep. Slow application, gentle, patient. My hand steadied. Funny. They'd shaken reading Mason's name, but forensic work. That old version of me returned instantly. Quiet, focused, controlled. Evelyn used to joke, you could identify fingerprints during an earthquake. Only medium earthquakes, I'd answer. She hated that joke. Loved it too. The print developed slowly. Partial. Not complete, but enough. Enough to tell me one thing. One terrible thing. It wasn't Mason. I froze. No, wait, maybe, no. I checked again, carefully, methodically. Professional habits. No assumptions. No emotional conclusions. Just evidence. Evidence doesn't care how you feel. Evidence only exists. The print wasn't Mason. Couldn't be. I knew my son's prints. Not because fathers normally know fingerprints. Because years ago, teenage Mason helped me organize old training materials. We joked, printed his fingers, printed mine. Evelyn called us crime lab nerds. I still had copies. Somewhere. Garage, storage, memory. The ridge flow pattern wasn't right. Not even close. Not Mason. My breathing changed. Fast, then slower, then cold. Very cold. I sat there. Kitchen chair. Hands flat on table. Heart pounding hard enough to hurt. No. No, no, no. Think. Possibilities. Postal contamination, handling contamination, normal transfer, mail carrier, processing employee, random contact. Could be. Could absolutely be. Then I saw it. The second thing. The thing that changed everything. Very faint. Near fold edge. Oil transfer, pressure contact. Placement. Not accidental handling, direct handling. Whoever touched this handled it personally, closely, intentionally. I stared at Mason's signature again. Suddenly, I wasn't looking at a goodbye letter. I was looking at evidence. Stay with me here. Because this matters. Grief had kept me underwater. But right then, for one terrifying moment, I surfaced. And I realized something. Someone wanted me quiet. Someone wanted me obedient. Someone wanted me to stop asking questions. My eyes moved back to one line. Trust Vanessa. Slowly, very slowly, I picked up my phone. Scrolled contacts, found Grace. Called. She answered immediately. Please tell me you ate dinner. Grace. Silence, she heard it. People who know you well hear things. What happened? She asked quietly. I looked down at the letter. The signature, the fingerprint, the lie. And for the first time, for the first real time, I stopped grieving like a father. And started thinking like an examiner. Grace Holloway arrived at my house 14 minutes later. Not 15. 14. Grace believed emergencies deserved punctuality. She came in carrying 2 coffees and an expression that meant she had already decided I wasn't allowed to fall apart. "You sound terrible," she said. "Good evening to you too." "You eat, Grace." "Odin." "No." "I brought sandwiches." It is 9 at night. People still require food after sunset. I've survived 67 years. Pure luck. Normal conversation, which felt strange, because nothing inside me felt normal anymore. Rain still tapped softly against the windows. Kitchen lights overhead. Letter sitting on the table. Evidence. Not proof, not yet. Evidence. There's a difference. Grace set down the coffee. Turkey sandwich, pickles, potato chips. She always brought food like she was preparing for a weather emergency. Her eyes moved immediately toward the paper. "That's it?" she asked. I nodded. She sat. Read quietly. Once, then again. She looked up. "What exactly are we looking at?" I leaned back, exhaled slowly. "I think somebody handled this letter." "People usually handle letters. Not like this." "You saying it's fake?" "I'm saying something's wrong." "Wrong how?" I pointed. "Sentence patterns. Word choice. Pressure consistency." She blinked. "You're speaking wizard." I almost smiled. "Look here." I pointed toward the signature. Mason pressed harder on downward movement. "You can tell that. 32 years examining documents. Still feels creepy. Helpful creepy. Fair." She leaned closer. Read it again. "Insurance matters," she said quietly. "Yeah? He wouldn't say that." "No." "Trust Vanessa." "No." "Don't dig into things." I looked at her. She looked back. Nobody said it. Nobody had to. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. Grace folded her arms. "What now?" Good question. Very good question. Because suspicion is easy. Proof is difficult. And grief makes smart people reckless. I'd seen it before. Insurance fraud cases, forgery investigations. People convinced they found truth when really they'd found pain wearing different clothes. I couldn't afford that. Not with Mason, not with this. "I wait," I said. Grace stared. "That's your plan?" "Yes." "Odin." "Grace." "That's terrible." "It's careful." "It's old." "I am old." "You know what I mean." I did. But patience built careers. Impatience destroyed them. And if somebody wanted me emotional, wanted me loud, wanted me reacting, I wasn't giving them that. Not yet. The next morning, Vanessa called. 9:16 a.m. I remember because older men remember times when they're nervous. "Odin?" she said softly. "Morning." "You okay?" "No, fine." "You sound tired." "Didn't sleep much." "Me either." Silence. Then, "I've been talking with insurance," she said. There it was. Insurance, again. "Okay. They need paperwork." "Okay. Some financial documents too." "All right. And some property matters eventually." Eventually. Interesting word. Not now. Eventually. Measured, controlled, careful, better. "What kind of paperwork?" I asked. "Oh, normal stuff." Normal. People hide behind normal. Normal paperwork. Normal conversation, normal tragedy. "There's some investment paperwork Mason had." I didn't know he had investments. "Retirement accounts." "Okay." "He listed beneficiaries." My chest tightened. "You..." Silence. Brief, tiny, then some. "Some? Interesting answer. Not yes, not no. Some." "You don't remember?" I asked quietly. "I do. But I just mean there are details." Details. I thanked her, hung up, walked outside. Cold morning, clouds, Ford Ranger sitting in the driveway. Silver paint faded near the hood. Evelyn always hated that truck. "One day that thing's going to collapse while you're driving. Then bury me in it." Not funny. I think it is. Funny. The brain reaches for strange memories when scared. I drove toward Holloway Kitchen. Needed coffee, needed movement, needed something. Grace saw me walk in. Didn't even ask. Coffee appeared automatically. She called, Grace said. I stopped. You bug my phone? No. Then how? You have your suspicious face. I have no suspicious face. You absolutely have suspicious face. I sat. Told her. Every detail, insurance, investment accounts, beneficiaries, words, patterns, timing. Grace listened quietly. Rare event. Like seeing a bear ride a bicycle. Then, what if she's innocent? Grace asked. Good, very good. Always ask that. What if she is? I said. You thinking clearly? I think so. You sure? No. Good. Good. People who are too sure make mistakes. Smart woman. Always had been. At 11:43 that morning, my phone rang again. Unknown number? Knoxville. Mr. Jenkins. Female voice. Professional. Controlled. Law office? Rebecca Whitmore. Estate attorney. My office represents some financial matters connected to Mason Jenkins. I sat straighter. I wasn't aware of that. Mrs. Jenkins asked us to organize certain estate documentation. Mrs. Jenkins. Vanessa. Already fast, very fast. Estate, I said carefully. There are investment assets requiring review. How long ago did she contact you? Silence. Brief, professional silence. Yesterday. Yesterday. 3 days after funeral, 4 days after hospital, 1 week after accident. Yesterday. Fast. Too fast. Maybe, maybe not. Mr. Jenkins? I'm here. We'll eventually need signatures. Eventually. Again. Same word. Interesting. People working together often accidentally borrow language from each other. I thanked her. Hung up. Grace watched my face. What? Lawyer. Oh boy. Estate lawyer. Oh no. Yesterday? Grace leaned back. That's quick. Very. You think money? I don't know. You do know? No. Odin. Grace. You think money? Maybe. Maybe I did. But suspicion isn't proof. Remember that. Because anger loves assumptions. Evidence hates them. That afternoon garage, storage shelves, boxes, old files, training archives, I found them. Fingerprint reference cards, old family prints. Mine, Evelyn's, Mason's, years old. Training jokes. Nothing official. Nothing courtroom worthy. Enough. I compared. Slowly, methodically, carefully. No assumptions, no emotions. Just evidence. The print on the envelope didn't belong to Mason. Not close. Loop pattern mismatch. Ridge break inconsistency. Impossible alignment. Wrong. Completely wrong. My stomach turned cold. Not because I'd found proof, because I hadn't. Not complete proof. Only enough to ask dangerous questions. Who touched it? Why when? And most importantly, who needed me to trust Vanessa? 3 days later, Friday. Vanessa came over, unannounced. Black SUV. 11:08 a.m. I watched through window blinds. Old habits. She carried folders, paperwork. Smiled gently. Tired smile. Grieving widow smile. Real, convincing, human. People keep expecting villains to look evil. Life doesn't work that way. Vanessa sat at my kitchen table. Same kitchen, same chair, same place the letter sat. I know this is hard, she said softly. I know. I've been trying to organize things. Okay. Mason would have wanted that. Would have. Past tense hurts every time. She opened folders, bank documents, insurance materials, account information, very organized, very prepared, too prepared maybe, maybe not. Then one sentence, small, tiny, deadly. We should keep everything simple. Simple. My old career taught me something. People planning deception love simple. Simple means fewer questions. Simple means faster movement. Simple means less scrutiny. I nodded. Played tired. Played grieving. Played older. People underestimate older men. Big mistake. You always handled paperwork better than Mason, she said. Compliment. Soft. Careful. Designed. Maybe. Maybe not. I try, I said. You don't have to worry about details. Details. There it was again. Details, questions, digging, paperwork, insurance. Simple. Trust. Patterns. Small patterns. Building slowly, brick by brick. Stay with me here. Because greed has weaknesses. One of them, greed hates waiting. And for the first time, I started wondering if Vanessa Jenkins was getting impatient. People think investigations begin with breakthroughs. They don't. They begin with boredom. Paper, coffee, waiting. Looking at the same thing long enough that it either becomes clearer or you become crazy. By the second week after Mason's funeral, I wasn't sleeping much. 3 hours. 4 if exhaustion won. I'd wake up around 3:12 in the morning, walk into the kitchen, stand there, open the refrigerator. Not because I was hungry, because grief makes people do strange things. I'd stare at orange juice, leftover chicken, mustard, close the door, walk away. Like somehow answers lived beside expired salad dressing. Grace started showing up more often, uninvited, which was her favorite way to arrive. Tuesday morning, 7:18 a.m., Holloway Kitchen and Grill, rain again. Knoxville had decided misery deserved atmosphere. Grace dropped coffee beside me. You look awful. Good morning. You shave with a lawnmower. I've had a difficult few weeks. You need sleep. I need answers. She folded her arms. Same thing sometimes. No, not the same thing. Not even close. The envelope sat inside a sealed evidence sleeve in my desk drawer at home. Not official, not police procedure. Old habits. I'd preserved it properly. Gloves, minimal handling, controlled storage. Because deep down, a part of me already knew. This wasn't grief anymore. This was work. At 9:43 that morning, my phone buzzed. Vanessa, again. Odin, she said. Morning. I wanted to drop off a few things. What things? Documents. What documents? Estate paperwork. Estate, again. Interesting. I'm heading your way anyway, she said. No rush. It's okay. No, it wasn't. That's the thing. It wasn't okay. Not anymore. 45 minutes later, black SUV, driveway, cloudy sky, cold wind. Vanessa stepped out carrying a leather folder. Professional, organized, controlled, too controlled. She walked inside. Kitchen, coffee offered, refused. Interesting. People refusing coffee in Tennessee means one of two things. They're in a hurry, or nervous. Everything all right? I asked. Just tired. Me too. She sat, opened the folder. Paperwork, insurance, investment accounts, property information, bank statements. Then, there it was. A signature page. One page among many. Simple. Easy to miss. What's this? I asked. Just paperwork confirming administration authority. Administration authority. Normal legal stuff. Normal. That word again. People hide behind normal. What exactly does it do? I asked. She smiled, soft, patient, explaining to the old man smile. It just makes things easier. Easier. Another interesting word. How? Managing accounts. What accounts? Mason's retirement account. Okay. Insurance matters. Insurance, again. Always insurance. What insurance amount? I asked casually. She hesitated. Tiny, half-second, maybe less. But hesitation matters. $750,000. There it was. The number, real, concrete, heavy, $750,000. Enough money to ruin people. Enough money to expose them. Enough money to make smart people stupid. Stay with me here. Because greed has a rhythm. and I was starting to hear it. I didn't realize it was that much, I said. He updated coverage 2 years ago. Interesting. Because Mason hated unnecessary expenses. Always had. Extra coverage wasn't impossible. Just interesting. You okay? Vanessa asked. Just thinking. You don't need to worry. There it was again. Worry, trust, simple, easy. Details don't matter. Don't question things. Patterns. Always patterns. I'll review these, I said. No rush. But her voice wanted rush. People say one thing. Their bodies say another. She stood, gathered papers. One sheet slipped, fell, floor, face down. She bent quickly. Too quickly. I saw it before she grabbed it. Just enough. A photocopy. Old. Color faded. Birthday card. Handwriting. My stomach tightened. Because I recognized it instantly. Mason's 36th birthday. 3 years ago. He sent me a card. Handwritten, signed, simple. I kept it. Still had it. Storage drawer. Memory box. Old fathers keep things. We're emotional hoarders with toolboxes. What was that? I asked. Nothing. Too fast. Looked familiar. Just paperwork. She smiled, small, controlled. Then left. I waited. 5 minutes, 10, 15. Then garage, storage cabinet, memory box, birthday cards, Christmas cards, Father's Day cards. Evelyn's handwriting. Mason's handwriting. Life preserved in folded paper. Found it. June, 3 years earlier. Blue birthday card. Simple. Signed, Love you, Dad. Mason. I sat slowly. Kitchen table. Light overhead. Silence. Compared. Old signature. Letter signature. Estate signature page. Slow, careful, no assumptions. Evidence. Evidence only. And then cold. Immediate. Sharp. Not identical. Close. Very close. Too close. Somebody copied. Not traced. Copied. Visual duplication, movement imitation, wrong pressure variation, wrong stroke taper, tiny hesitation mark. Human eyes miss those. Training doesn't. My chest tightened. No. No, no, no. Think. Could Vanessa have copied old documents? Maybe. Could someone else? Maybe. Need evidence. Need facts. No assumptions. I called somebody I hadn't spoken to in months. Frank Delaney, 70. Retired criminal investigator, former Knoxville detective. Fishing addict. Terrible golfer. Good man. He answered second ring. Odin. Frank. Didn't expect to hear from you. I need coffee. You hate my coffee. I need your brain. Pause. Long. Something wrong? He asked. Maybe. Family. Yeah. Come over. Frank lived outside Maryville. Small property, workshop, fishing equipment everywhere. Smelled like sawdust and old coffee. He listened quietly. Letter, fingerprints, insurance, signatures, estate paperwork. $750,000. No interruptions. Just listening. Then, you call police? He asked. No. Good. Good. Not enough. I know. Could still be grief. I know. Could still be coincidence. I know. Frank leaned back, studied me. You think your daughter-in-law's involved? No. You do. No. Odin. Fine. Silence. Maybe. Good. Good. Doubt keeps people alive. He stood. Poured coffee. Terrible coffee. Some things survive retirement. You preserve paperwork? Frank asked. Already done. Fingerprint comparison? Done. Professional confidence? 80%. Not enough. I know. Need more. I know. He nodded slowly. Get more. Simple, clean, correct? Driving home phone rang. Unknown number. Rebecca Whitmore, estate attorney. Mr. Jenkins? Yes. I wanted clarification. My grip tightened. Clarification? Mrs. Jenkins mentioned documents she expected signed already. Expected. Interesting. Expected. I haven't signed anything. Silence. Professional silence. Then, understood. Tiny thing? Very tiny. But tiny things matter. Because suddenly, very suddenly, it felt like somebody wanted speed, wanted movement, wanted signatures, wanted closure, too much closure, too quickly. And greed, real greed, makes one mistake every time. It gets impatient. That night, sitting alone, kitchen, rain, letter, evidence sleeve. I looked at that fingerprint again. Whoever touched that paper, whoever handled it, had no idea one stupid mistake, one careless moment, one fingerprint was about to ruin everything. By the third week after Mason's funeral, I had developed a new routine. Coffee, notes, evidence, questions, repeat. Grief had changed shape. It wasn't disappearing, don't misunderstand me. I still reached for my phone sometimes before remembering Mason wasn't supposed to answer anymore. I still saw dark blue Toyota Camrys in traffic and looked twice. Still heard certain songs and felt something cave inward. Pain doesn't leave. It relocates. But alongside grief, something else had moved in. Doubt. And doubt is a dangerous tenant. Frank Delaney called Tuesday morning, 6:54 a.m., too early for optimism. Got something, he said. No hello, no small talk. Retired investigators apparently lose the ability to socialize normally. What? I asked. Coffee first. Frank? Maryville. Frank. Bring decent donuts. Then he hung up. I drove out just after 7. Cold morning, 43 degrees, gray Tennessee sky, my old Ranger making noises that suggested mechanical resentment. Frank's workshop sat behind his house, metal building, fishing rods, old signs, too many tools, smelled like sawdust and old coffee. Frank sat at the table, legal pad, coffee, half-eaten apple fritter. You brought cheap donuts, he said. You said coffee first. Still disappointed? You're 70. And correct? I sat. He slid a paper across the table. Single sheet, name, address, business information. My stomach tightened. Travis Cole, age 41. Asheville area, owned small automotive repair garage. Cole Automotive Service. Nothing special, nothing criminal, nothing obvious. So, I asked. Frank leaned back. Friend helped me unofficially. Frank. Retired favors still exist. I told you not to. You told me a lot of things. I stopped, read again. Travis Cole, garage owner, North Carolina. Connection? I asked quietly. Frank took a sip. Vanessa Jenkins. Silence, cold, heavy. How? I asked. Social overlap. Meaning? Meaning before Mason. I looked up slowly. Frank nodded once. Long time ago, he said. Before marriage. No. Could happen, coincidence, normal. People have histories, lives, past relationships, didn't prove anything. Needed facts, evidence, only evidence. Friend relationship, I asked. Frank shrugged. Unclear. Unclear isn't useful. Relax. I'm relaxed. You look like you're fighting furniture mentally. I hate when you're observant. Comes with age. No, comes with annoying personality. Frank smiled, small, brief, serious again immediately. Garage matters, he said quietly. What garage matters? Vehicle recovery. My pulse changed, tiny, sharp. The accident vehicle. I stared. What about it? Official report says recovery processing involved outside towing support. And guess which garage handled overflow holding temporarily? No. Stay with me here. Because life doesn't usually reveal itself dramatically. Sometimes it just places ugly facts beside each other and lets your brain suffer alone. The Camry, I asked. Potentially? Potentially. Need confirmation. I need facts. I know. I stood, walked toward workshop door. Cold air. Needed movement. Needed breathing. Needed 10 different impossible things. Mason. Vanessa. Travis Cole. Garage. Letter, fingerprint, insurance. Nothing proved conspiracy. Nothing. Yet. But coincidence had started developing a personality. You okay? Frank asked. No. Good. Good means you're thinking. I hated when he made sense. Official channels, I asked. Not yet. Why? Because you're still building questions. Questions, right. Questions first, answers second, always. I drove home, mind moving faster than logic, dangerous state, very dangerous. Older investigators learn something eventually. Emotion destroys accuracy. Needed calm, needed patience. Grace took one look at me walking into Holloway Kitchen and immediately said, "Who died now?" Nobody. You have your crisis eyebrows. I do not. You absolutely do. Coffee appeared, without ordering, without asking. Small-town kindness, dangerous thing. Makes people softer, I told her. Not everything. Enough. Travis, garage, old connection, vehicle handling. Grace listened quietly. Again. Second unusual event this month. You're thinking affair, she said. No. You're absolutely thinking affair. No. Odin. Fine. You don't know. I know. No. She pointed. You suspect. Correct. I hated that. You know what bothers me? She said quietly. What? Timing. Yeah. No. She leaned forward. Not accident timing. Then what? Behavior timing. I looked at her. People tell truth slower after tragedy, Grace said. They don't get faster. That sat with me, hard. Because she was right. Vanessa moved quickly. Insurance, estate, documents, authority, paperwork, movement, fast, too fast. Maybe, maybe not. My phone buzzed. Text message, unknown number, no words, only image. I stared. Dark photo, parking lot. Hard to tell, truck, building, timestamp, 3 weeks before Mason's accident. Zoomed, blurry, again. Slowly, heart pounding. Dark blue. Toyota. Mason's Camry. Location tag partially visible. Cole Automotive. No? No. No. Who sent this? Why, I called immediately. No answer. Called again. Nothing. Number disconnected. Burner, temporary. Intentional. I showed Grace. She went quiet. Completely quiet. Bad sign. What? I asked. Nothing. Grace? Nothing. Grace. She exhaled slowly. I don't like this. Neither do I. No, she pointed. I really don't like this. Neither did I, because suddenly, very suddenly, the garage wasn't coincidence anymore. The garage was becoming direction. That afternoon I called Asheville. Cole Automotive. Simple. Direct. Man answered. Cole Automotive. Male voice. 40s maybe. Rough, controlled. Question, I said. Yeah. You work on Toyota vehicles? Sometimes. Dark blue Camry. Need appointment? No? Silence. Then, we're busy today? Click, ended. Fast. Too fast. Interesting. Very interesting. I sat there. Phone in hand. Kitchen silent, house cold, mind moving, think, then memory, small, tiny, dangerous. 11 days before accident. Calhoun's restaurant. Lunch with Mason, gray quarter zip sweater, tired eyes, quiet, older somehow. He said something. Very small. Tiny. Easy to miss. Dad. Yeah. If something weird ever happens. What weird? Just weird? Mason? I'm serious. What weird? He hesitated. Long, too long. Then smiled. Never mind. Never mind. No, not never mind. Not anymore. That night, garage, storage boxes, memory files, paper, old receipts, photos. Anything. Everything. Grief had buried details. Needed to dig. Hours passed. 10:44 p.m., 11:18, 11:52. Then found it. Vehicle paperwork, insurance copy, emergency contact update. Mason's handwriting. Recent. 6 months old. Bottom margin. Pen note. Quick. Messy. Easy to miss. 3 words. 3 stupid words. Blue folder. Important. I froze. Blue folder. What blue folder? Stay with me here. Because hope can feel worse than grief. Grief hurts. Hope terrifies. Because grief asks you to survive loss. Hope asks you to survive disappointment. And for the first time, I started wondering something that scared me more than death. What if Mason Jenkins wasn't in that car I barely slept? Again. That had become normal. Sleep showed up now like an unreliable contractor. Promised things. Delivered disappointment. I kept seeing those 3 words. Blue folder. Important. Over and over. Like my brain had grabbed hold of them and refused to let go. 6:11 a.m. Kitchen, coffee, rain. Because apparently East Tennessee and Emotional Collapse had signed a seasonal agreement. I opened my notebook. Started writing. Questions. Not theories. Questions. Old habit. Questions protect you from assumptions. What blue folder? Why write it down? Why hide it? Why never tell me I stared at the page? Then, suddenly, memory. Small, fast, dangerous. Storage unit. Sevierville. 6 months earlier. Mason helping me move old furniture. Conversation near sunset. Storage paperwork. You still paying for this place? Mason asked. $49 a month. That's ridiculous. I might need things. You absolutely won't. I like options. You're paying $600 a year for options. Then Mason laughing, holding extra keys. One day you'll die, and I'll inherit 17 broken lamps. My chest tightened. Storage unit. Mason had access, always had access. I grabbed my keys, phone, jacket, notebook, then stopped. No, not alone. Experience teaches older men something. If you're making emotional decisions, bring somebody who annoys you. They're usually useful. Grace answered second ring. No. What? Whatever you're planning. You don't even know. I know enough. Storage unit. No. Grace. No. Grace. 20 seconds later. Fine. 30 minutes later. She climbed into my Ranger, carrying 2 breakfast sandwiches and exactly the expression I expected. I hate this, she said. Good morning. You look terrible? You said that yesterday. It remained true. I appreciate consistency. You need therapy. I need answers. You need vegetables. One thing at a time. The drive to Sevierville took just under 45 minutes. Cloudy skies, traffic light. Grace eating hash browns aggressively. You're stress driving, she said. I'm driving. No. Grace. Your shoulders are weird. My shoulders are normal. Nothing about you is normal. That's rude. It's accurate. Normal conversation. Again. Funny how life keeps making room for ordinary moments, even when everything feels broken. Storage facility sat near the edge of town. Blue fencing, security gate, rows of metal buildings, Unit C-114. Mine. Or apparently, possibly Mason's too. I unlocked it. Metal door rolled upward. Dust smell. Cardboard. Old furniture. Christmas decorations. Boxes. Memories. Entire sections of life people pay monthly fees to avoid dealing with. Grace looked around. You own too much junk. Those are family belongings. That is a broken treadmill. It has emotional value. No, it doesn't. Fine. It didn't. We started looking. Slow, methodical, blue folder, simple. Should have been easy. Wasn't. 40 minutes. Nothing. 50. Nothing. 1 hour. Still nothing. I sat down on an old folding chair. Frustration rising. Dangerous feeling. Clouds your thinking. Grace opened another box. Bowling trophies? She asked. I bowled. You were bad. That feels unnecessary. She held up a framed photo. Evelyn, Mason, me. Beach trip, Gulf Shores. Years ago. Grace got quiet. I hated when Grace got quiet. You okay? I asked. She nodded. Yeah. No, she wasn't. Neither was I. Loss does strange things. Sneaks up sideways. I stood, walked deeper. Back corner. Metal shelf. 3 storage bins. Camping equipment. Old paperwork. Then small gray fireproof document case. Forgot I owned it. Combination lock. Opened. Insurance paperwork. Property files. Tax documents. Then there. Blue. Thin. Plastic. Folder. My pulse jumped. Slow. Heavy. Grace. What? I found it. Silence, then footsteps. Fast. She stood beside me. Didn't speak. Neither did I. Because sometimes truth deserves quiet. I opened it carefully. Inside documents. Bank statements. Printed emails. Photographs. Insurance records. Vehicle paperwork. Receipts. And my stomach dropped. Photo. Vanessa. Standing outside Cole Automotive. Travis Cole beside her. Date stamp. 2 months before Mason's accident. No. No, no, no. Could still be innocent. Could. Absolutely could. Keep thinking. Don't assume. I kept going. Another document. Bank transfer. $18,400. Business account. Recipient. Cole Automotive Services. 3 months before accident. Another. Insurance policy adjustment. Coverage increase. $750,000. 6 months earlier. Another. Printed email. From Mason. Draft. Never sent. Subject line blank. Incomplete. Words cut off. But enough. Enough to make my blood run cold. Dad? Something feels wrong with Vanessa lately. I think there's money stuff happening I don't understand. If something happens. Sentence unfinished. Nothing after. No explanation. No ending. Just emptiness. Grace sat slowly. No, she whispered. Grace. No. I know. No. Tears, quiet ones. Grace rarely cried, which made it worse. Because if Grace cried, something real broke. I kept reading. Account activity, loan paperwork, credit reports, financial strain, Vanessa, debt, large debt, medical debt, credit balances, personal loans, pressure, real pressure. Stay with me here. Because people don't become dangerous overnight. Sometimes fear slowly reshapes them. Bad choices, then worse ones, then choices that feel impossible to undo. One photograph slipped loose, fell, floor. I picked it up. My hand froze. Mason. Photo timestamp, 8 days before accident. Gas station, Asheville area, alone, wearing gray quarter-zip sweater. Same one. Back written in black ink. 3 words. Need proof first. My vision blurred. Not grief, not exactly. Fear, hope, confusion, dangerous combination. What does that mean? Grace whispered. I don't know. You do? No. Odin. No? Because I didn't, not yet. Phone. Need phone. I pulled it out, called Frank, second ring. Odin. I found something. Bat? Maybe. Good, maybe. That's not helpful? Storage unit. Silence. Long silence. Then, send pictures. I did. Everything. Photos, documents, transfers, insurance increase, Cole Automotive, draft email, Mason, proof, need proof first. 10 minutes. No answer. 11. Nothing. 12. Phone rang. Frank. Odin. Yeah. Sit down. Already was. Vehicle transfer paperwork. What? I checked unofficial recovery records. My pulse changed. Sharp, cold, fast. Frank. The Camry. Frank. Silence. Heavy silence. Then, your son's car wasn't at Cole Automotive one time. Breathing stopped. It was there twice. No. Before accident, Frank said quietly. 1 week before. I closed my eyes. Grace watching, waiting. Fear climbing slowly into the room. What are you saying? I whispered. I don't know yet. Frank? But somebody lied. Silence. Rain starting outside again. Soft, steady, merciless. Somebody lied. Not maybe, not possibly, not eventually. Somebody lied. And sitting there, storage unit, blue folder, photo in my hand, Grace beside me, rain falling outside. For the first time real. First time I stopped asking whether Mason was dead, and started asking who needed him gone. People think the moment before truth arrives feels dramatic. It doesn't. Most times it feels ordinary, quiet, almost disappointing. Like standing in line at a bank before finding out your entire life changed 5 minutes earlier. 3 days after we found the blue folder, Rebecca Whitmore called. 9:27 a.m., Tuesday, cold morning, gray sky, coffee untouched beside me, which Grace immediately noticed. "You didn't drink coffee?" "I will." "No, Grace. You never forget coffee." "I forgot." "You thinking too hard?" "Probably." "That's dangerous." She wasn't wrong. My phone buzzed. "Rebecca." I answered immediately. "Odin." "Mr. Jenkins," Rebecca said carefully. Professional voice. Controlled. Lawyer voice. The kind that means every word has already been inspected before leaving the mouth. "I've reviewed some matters connected to Mason's estate." "Okay. And I'd like to schedule a meeting." My pulse changed. "Meeting for what?" "Clarification." Interesting word. Clarification. Not paperwork, not signatures. Clarification. When? I asked. "Tomorrow." "Who's coming?" Small pause. "Vanessa Jenkins." "Of course. Anyone else?" I asked. "Insurance representatives." "Interesting. Very interesting." "And?" I asked. Silence. Brief. Professional. Then, possibly someone reviewing documentation integrity concerns. Documentation integrity. Lawyer language. Translation. Something smells wrong. "What time?" I asked. 2 p.m. "I'll be there." I hung up. Grace stared. "What?" "Your face? What about it?" "Your serious face." "I have a serious face." "You have several." "I do not." "You absolutely do," I told her. "Meeting, Rebecca, insurance, documentation concerns." Grace leaned back. "She's nervous," Grace said. "Maybe." "No." "Grace, she's nervous." "Maybe, maybe not. Dangerous thing. Assumptions, need evidence, need patience, need calm." I hated calm. Wednesday arrived cold. 41 degrees. Wind sharp enough to make old injuries complain. I wore my brown canvas jacket, dark flannel underneath. Same watch Evelyn bought me for our 25th anniversary. Frank called before I left. "Remember something," he said. "What?" "People crack when expectations fail." "I know." "No," he paused. "You know professionally." Silence. "Today remember personally." Good advice. Didn't make me feel better. Rebecca Whitmore's office sat downtown Knoxville. Brick building, 2nd floor, clean lobby, quiet. Law offices always smell expensive somehow. Grace came. Of course she came. "I'm not letting you do this alone," she said. "I can handle myself." "You absolutely cannot." "That's insulting." "It's accurate." Frank came too, not inside, parking lot, backup. "You're treating this like a movie," I told him. "No." "Feels like a movie." "You hate movies." "True." 2:00 p.m. Conference room. Large wooden table, water bottles, legal pads, windows overlooking downtown traffic. Professional. Controlled. Rebecca entered first. Dark navy blazer, reading glasses, calm, always calm. Then insurance representative. Man, late 50s. David Mercer. No relation. Gray suit. Professional smile. Then another woman, mid-40s. Investigation division, insurance fraud review. Interesting. Very interesting. Then Vanessa walked in. Cream-colored blazer, hair perfect. Makeup subtle, controlled, confident, too confident. You know that look. The look people wear when they think they've already won. She smiled softly. Odin. Vanessa? You okay? No. First honest answer in weeks. She blinked. Tiny, small, enough. Rebecca sat, opened folder. Thank you for coming, she said. Professional, controlled. We've identified inconsistencies requiring clarification. Vanessa shifted. Tiny movement, almost invisible. Not invisible enough. What inconsistencies? Vanessa asked. Rebecca slid documents forward. Insurance paperwork, estate paperwork, signature comparisons, professional review materials. Vanessa looked calm. Still calm. Interesting. Very interesting. David Mercer spoke. Certain submitted documents raised verification concerns. Vanessa frowned. What concerns? Rebecca slid another page. The letter. The letter. My kitchen table. The fingerprint. Everything. Vanessa stared. Briefly. Then recovered. Fast. Very fast. I don't understand, she said. Good. Strong answer. Expected answer. Professional answer. Rebecca nodded. Help us understand chain of custody. Interesting phrase. Chain of custody. Very interesting. Vanessa folded her hands. Calm. Controlled. Mason wrote it. How do you know? Rebecca asked. He told me. When? Before. When specifically? Silence. Tiny. Half second. Long enough. Earlier. Earlier. Weak. Very weak. Rebecca nodded slowly. Professional patience. Dangerous patience. We examined document handling indicators. Vanessa looked toward me, briefly. Not fear, annoyance. Interesting. Insurance investigator leaned forward. Mrs. Jenkins. Professional voice, controlled. We identified handling inconsistencies. What does that mean? Rebecca spoke. Fingerprint evidence. Silence. Cold, heavy, very heavy. Vanessa blinked. Tiny, fast. What fingerprint evidence? She asked. Good question. Wrong tone. Wrong speed. Wrong reaction. Envelope handling patterns, Rebecca said. Vanessa leaned back, controlled, trying, very hard. I don't understand? Maybe, maybe not. Rebecca opened another folder. Slow, careful, professional. Do you know Travis Cole? Silence. Long silence. Long enough. There. There it was. First crack. Not panic, recognition, tiny, human, real, high. No, Vanessa said. Lie. Immediate lie. Dangerous. Very dangerous. Because lies create pressure. Pressure creates mistakes. Rebecca slid photograph forward. Cole Automotive. Vanessa, Travis, outside garage. Date visible. Vanessa froze. Briefly. Very briefly. Enough. Insurance investigator spoke. Mrs. Jenkins. Silence. We need honesty. Vanessa swallowed. Small movement. Hands tighter. Breathing changed. You spend enough years examining people, you notice breathing. Tiny things. Everything changes before people realize it changes. He fixed Mason's car, she said quietly. New answer. Interesting. Very interesting. Rebecca nodded. Twice. Silence, no answer. Before accident, Rebecca asked. Silence, no answer. Insurance investigator leaned forward. Professional, calm, dangerous calm. Mrs. Jenkins. Nothing. Rebecca slid one final page forward. Fingerprint comparison analysis. Not official law enforcement. Enough. Enough to pressure. Enough to crack. Can you explain, Rebecca said quietly, why Travis Cole's fingerprints appear on a letter Mason Jenkins supposedly prepared privately? Silence. Real silence. Heavy silence. Vanessa stared. Paper, photo, fingerprint comparison, letter, me, everything. People crack differently. Some explode, some cry, some get angry. Vanessa got impatient. And greed, real greed, always hates waiting. I didn't make him write it, she snapped. Silence. Dead silence. Every sound vanished. Traffic outside. Air conditioning. Breathing. Gone. Because she said, make him write it. Not fake, not forge, not create, make. Rebecca didn't move. Insurance investigator didn't move. Nobody moved. Stay with me here. Because some mistakes aren't loud. Some mistakes are one sentence, one word, one stupid, impatient word. And suddenly Vanessa Jenkins realized what she'd done. Too late. Far too late. Nobody spoke. Not immediately. Truth has weight. Real truth, not theories, not suspicion. Truth lands heavy. And when it lands, people stop moving. Vanessa sat perfectly still, too still, hands folded, eyes locked on the table. Not crying, not talking, not breathing normally. Across from her, Rebecca Whitmore slowly removed her glasses. Careful movement, measured, professional. Insurance investigator David Mercer didn't say anything either. Didn't need to, because everybody in that room heard it. I didn't make him write it. Not he wrote it, not you're misunderstanding, not I don't know what you're talking about. Make. The word sat in the room, heavy, ugly, permanent. Vanessa realized it too. You could see it. People always think guilt looks dramatic. It usually doesn't. Usually it looks like someone trying very hard to remain normal. Too normal. That's not what I meant, Vanessa said quietly. Rebecca leaned back. What did you mean? Silence. Tiny, sharp, dangerous. I misspoke. David Mercer folded his hands. Mrs. Jenkins. Professional voice, calm, controlled. We've identified financial discrepancies. No answer. We've identified insurance timeline concerns. Silence. We've identified document integrity concerns. Nothing. Rebecca opened another folder, slow, patient. She had become terrifying in a very lawyer way, which is to say quiet. Mrs. Jenkins, Rebecca said. Mr. Travis Cole provided statements yesterday. Everything changed. Vanessa blinked, fast, hard, tiny movement, huge meaning. He what? She whispered. There. Fear. Real fear, not grief. Fear. Mr. Cole cooperated voluntarily, Rebecca said calmly. He indicated document preparation assistance. Vanessa turned pale, actually pale. No performance, no strategy, no control. Gone. Stay with me here. Because this part matters. Bad people don't always become bad because they're monsters. Sometimes fear bends them slowly. Money pressure, panic, debt, shame. Then one bad choice. Then another. Then another. Until suddenly they don't recognize themselves anymore. Vanessa spoke quietly. He lied. Maybe, maybe not. David Mercer slid forward paperwork, bank transfers, insurance timeline, financial records, debt, medical collections, personal loans, credit balances, pressure, real pressure. I knew some already. Not all. Not this much. Vanessa wasn't drowning financially. She had been crushed. Her mother's medical treatment, debt accumulation, credit collapse, loan defaults, collection notices, fear, real fear. My chest tightened. Not sympathy, not forgiveness. Understanding. Different thing. Very different. Vanessa, I said quietly. She wouldn't look at me. Look at me. Nothing. Vanessa. Slowly she looked up. Eyes wet now. Real tears. Again, real tears. Not fake. Real. Where's Mason? Silence. Long, terrible. Silence. I don't know, she whispered. No, my voice cracked. First time, real crack, dangerous. Pain breaking through, no? Odin, no. My hands shook. Not age, not grief, fear, pure fear. Where is my son? I don't know. Liar. I don't know. Rebecca spoke quietly. Mr. Cole stated Mason discovered financial irregularities. My chest tightened. Mason confronted Vanessa approximately 12 days before the accident. 12. Lunch. Gray sweater. Calhoun's. Tired eyes. Weird conversation. Something weird happens. Never mind. God. He found transfers, Rebecca said quietly. Money. Cole Automotive. Insurance adjustments. Everything. Mason knew. My son knew. He said he was leaving, Vanessa whispered. Nobody moved. He said he couldn't trust me anymore. Her voice breaking. Real. Destroyed. I thought he was bluffing. Silence. He wasn't. David Mercer spoke carefully. Mrs. Jenkins. She kept going. People do that sometimes. Once truth starts, it wants out. He left. What do you mean left? I whispered. He packed things. When? Night before. No, impossible. Or the accident, I whispered. I didn't know. Vanessa. I didn't know. Loud, sharp, broken, everybody froze. He disappeared. Silence. He wouldn't answer. He left. He left me. Tears, real, violent now. Not performance, collapse, real collapse. I panicked. Silence. Insurance notices came. Debt, fear, money, pressure. I thought, her voice shattered. I thought maybe if people believed, no. You let us bury him. Silence. You let me bury my son. Odin, you let me bury my son. My voice broke. Completely gone. 67 years old. Former examiner, professional, calm, controlled, gone. Because pain doesn't care who you used to be. Grace moved beside me. Hand on shoulder. Warm, steady, human. I needed human badly. He never came back, Vanessa whispered. He never called. He disappeared. Then the accident happened. Vehicle fire? Everybody believed. You believed? No, not believed. Trusted. Different. Worse. Rebecca spoke quietly. We verified additional information this morning. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Vehicle evidence remains under review. Silence. However, my heart stopped. Actually stopped. 1 second, 2, 3. Mr. Jenkins. Rebecca looked directly at me. We located activity tied to Mason Jenkins' social security number. Everything vanished. Air, sound, thought, gone. What? Kentucky. Small motel, Lexington area, debit activity, 3 days earlier. Verified, confirmed, possible, not certain, possible. Hope. There it was. The thing I'd feared more than grief. Hope. Real hope hurts. People don't tell you that. Real hope hurts. Because if you're wrong, you lose them twice, Frank called while we sat there. Parking lot afterward. Cold air, gray sky. Odin. Yeah. We found him. Silence. No. We found your son. I couldn't breathe. Alive. The world tilted. Actually tilted. Grace grabbed my arm. Good thing. Would have hit pavement. Minor hospital outside Lexington, Frank said quietly. Dehydration. Exhaustion, stress. Alive. My son. My Mason. My boy. Alive. I sat down on cold concrete outside Rebecca's office. Didn't care. Didn't notice. People walked by. Cars moved. Traffic lights changed. World kept going. Same cruel thing. World always keeps going. Grace sat beside me. Didn't speak. Good. No words existed. Not enough. Not for this. My phone sat in my hand. Hospital number. Waiting. Terrified. Because hope hurts. Remember that. Hope hurts. Especially when you've already buried someone once. People imagine reunions wrong. Movies teach people lies. They think music plays. People run. Tears happen instantly. Everything broken becomes fixed. Real life doesn't work that way. Real life walks slowly into rooms carrying damage. Grace drove. Not because I couldn't. Because she looked at me one time and said, absolutely not. I can drive. No. Grace, no. I'm fine. You nearly sat down in traffic 20 minutes ago. That's dramatic. It's accurate. Frank followed behind us. Lexington, Kentucky sat just over 3 hours away. Long enough to think. Too long. Rain followed us half the drive. Gray sky, gray highway, gray memories. I stared out the window most of the trip. Mile markers, gas stations, tractor trailers, life continuing. Cruel thing. Beautiful thing. Both. My phone sat in my jacket pocket. Hospital number saved. Called twice. Both times they confirmed one thing. Adult male, identified, exhaustion, dehydration, observation, stable, stable. I held on to that word harder than I should have. Stable. People in pain become attached to words. Grace drove quietly, mostly. Around mile marker 221. You gonna yell at him? She asked. What? Mason. I don't know. You should decide. I buried him. I know. He let me bury him. I know. He disappeared. I know. Silence. He was alive. Grace tightened both hands on the steering wheel. I know. No speeches, no wisdom. Good. Some pain doesn't need translation. Small hospital outside Lexington. Brick building. Cold wind. 3:47 p.m. I remember because moments that break your life permanently come with timestamps. Reception desk, paperwork, questions, waiting. Always waiting. Room 214. Long hallway. Gray floor. Hospital smell. God. Hospital smell. I hated hospital smell. Ever since Evelyn. Room 214. Door partly open. I stopped walking. Actually stopped. Couldn't move. Because inside, sitting near a window wearing hospital clothes. Thinner. Tired. Hair longer. Face older. My son. Mason. Alive. Real. Breathing. I forgot every speech. Every angry word. Every planned sentence. Gone. Just gone. Mason looked up. Saw me. Stopped breathing. Actually stopped. Dad. One word. 39 years old. One word. Dad. My knees almost gave out. Grace grabbed my elbow. Again. Useful woman. Mason stood slowly, carefully, like he wasn't sure he deserved to. Truth, he wasn't. Not fully, not yet. Dad, he whispered. I walked forward. Slow, very slow. People think pain disappears when someone comes back. No, pain changes shape. Again, that's all. You alive? I asked quietly. Mason nodded. Yeah. Okay. Silence. Long, heavy. Then I hit him. Not hard, shoulder, open hand. Solid. What the hell is wrong with you? Grace quietly walked outside. Closed door, good instinct. Dad, I buried you. Tears, mine, his, both. I buried you. I know. No. Voice shaking. No. Dad, I buried you. I know. You let me bury you. He sat down slowly, head lowered, hands shaking. My son, my boy, broken, completely broken. I found transfers, he whispered. What? Money. Vanessa. Debt. Insurance. Travis. I found everything. I sat, slow, chair beside hospital bed. Everything quieter now, different quiet, real quiet. I confronted her, Mason said. She panicked. She swore she'd fix it. I didn't believe her. So I left. You left. I thought, no. Dad, no. You vanish. I wasn't thinking. No kidding. I know. Do you? Silence, real silence. I thought she'd tell you, he whispered. I laughed. Sharp, broken, ugly laugh. She let me bury you. Tears again. Mason crying harder now. Not dramatic, real, quiet, destroyed. I know. No. You don't. I know. No. I looked at him. Really looked. Weight loss, dark circles, exhaustion, shame, fear. My son had spent weeks carrying something too heavy. Alone. Bad decision, terrible decision, human decision. I stayed at motels, he whispered. Different towns. I kept driving. Thought I'd come back. Didn't. Then accident happened. Vehicle abandoned. Everything exploded. I panicked. Everybody panicked. Vanessa, Mason, everybody. Fear. Fear had wrecked everything. I was ashamed, Mason whispered. I know. No. I should have called. Yes. I should have told you. Yes. I know. No. My voice softer now. Older. Tired. You don't. Silence. Long. Quiet. Then, I failed you, Mason whispered. No. That one hurt. Deep. Dangerous. No. I did. No. I disappeared. You made terrible choices. Yeah. Very terrible. Yeah. Extremely terrible. Small laugh. Tiny. Real. First real laugh in weeks. Grace walked back inside 20 minutes later, holding coffee. Of course. You alive? She asked Mason. Apparently. Good. You mad at me too? Very. Fair. Extremely. Fair. You scared your father half to death. I know. You scared me too. I know. You owe me breakfast for approximately 6 months. Mason smiled. Small. Real. God. I missed that smile. 3 weeks later, charges moved forward. Insurance fraud, forgery, financial crimes, obstruction. Vanessa cooperated eventually. Travis Cooper accepted a plea arrangement. Truth moved. Slow, messy, expensive, like truth usually does. Vanessa wrote me a letter later. Real letter. No fake fingerprints. No lies. Mostly apologies. Fear, debt, panic, regret. I didn't forgive immediately. Real life doesn't work like that either. Mason moved back to Knoxville temporarily. Therapy. Financial cleanup, long talks, awkward talks, hard talks, some silences too. Healing isn't linear. People say that. Turns out they're right. 3 months later, Saturday morning. Holloway Kitchen and Grill. Booth near the window, coffee, biscuits, bacon. Grace arguing with somebody about toast quality. Normal, beautiful normal. Mason sat across from me. Healthier, still quieter, still carrying things. Me too. You rotate your tires? He asked. I looked up. Seriously? What? You're back 2 months and already annoying. You need maintenance. I need peace. You need tires. Grace walked past. He's right. Traitor? Eat your eggs. Sunlight came through the window. Warm, simple, ordinary. The kind of ordinary people underestimate. Life lesson. Here it is. Pain doesn't always arrive because people stop loving each other. Sometimes pain arrives because fear gets louder than honesty. Sometimes good people make terrible choices. Sometimes grief blinds us. Sometimes anger blinds us. And sometimes, if you're lucky, truth survives long enough to find you. I need you to understand something. Pay attention to this next part. If somebody you love feels distant, ask one more question. Make one more call. Stay 10 more minutes. People carry heavy things quietly, too quietly. And if this story means anything, let it mean this truth matters. Family matters. And love, real love, sometimes looks less like forgiveness and more like staying long enough to rebuild what broke. If this story meant something to you, join our community by hitting that like button and subscribing for more real, raw, and family-centered stories. Drop a comment below and tell us, have you ever been in a situation like this? We read every single one. And as always, thank you for being a part of this.